Hearthstone Grandmasters Week 2, day number 1 wraps up with StrifeCro from the USA going up against a PNC from Argentina, looking to avenge his fallen comrade or fellow Argentinian Nalgidon, who's 0-3. PNC also at risk of dropping to 0-3. And TJ, I gotta say, for the 4th time today, Mage is looking unfavored, but I've been surprised twice thus far. Zalay able to crush Dogs 2-0, wasn't even close really. And then ETC with the very narrow upset over Nalgidon.
Yeah, that's right. And I honestly think that StrifeCro may be a little more favored than we've seen in the past matches.
Okay.
He does have a little bit more of an aggressive rogue deck, at least in nowadays landscape, which is not nearly as aggressive as the Waggle Pick raiding party versions, but he does have Leroy Jenkins. He does have like Deadly Poisons and Hench Clan Thugs, so able to snowball pretty heavily. Now, PNC looks like he was teching his deck for probably Mage. He's got a big Game Hunter in his list and double Sea Giant. So his threats are very dense. He also has Magic Dart Frogs in his primary list, which is something throughout Europe and even in the players we've seen from Mage now in Americas has been something in the secondary and tertiary decks. So those are kind of the interesting tech inclusions from PNC. I honestly think that that's going to be a benefit to him. Maybe not the BGH, but everything else in this matchup. Just because he doesn't want to get overrun earlier on. But StrifeCro, I'm sure he's played against a ton of mages in his road to rank 1 legend with this deck. He feels really comfortable with it, and even when I asked him about it last night, he said the deck is just insane. So I have a lot of confidence in his ability to read the meta.
I agree. StrifeCro's deck list is going to be different from that of Monsanto. It's got still some of the core elements of it through a Vendetta and Thief package, talking about the Blink Fox and the Hench Clan Burglar. But it's also got its other inclusions that we've come to expect, like the Leroy Jenkins, the Van Cleef, the Evil Miscreant, rotating back in the Hench Clan Thug, hot off of the bench. You know, Hench Clan Thug was the superstar for so long, one of the big impact star players, and then lost a little bit of playing time when the raiding party package came in with the Pirates. And then now that the Pirates are basically gone, it seems like he's back to Old Faithful.
Yeah, you need to find more ways to be aggressive early without the raiding party Waggle Pick package. There's a lot of cards. It's like 8. You're losing Waggle Pick, you're losing Dread Corsair, South Sea Deckhands, and the raiding party. So filling it with Burgle stuff and Hench Clan Thugs. I kind of like it.
I think so too. I like that it's a lot less on the value train because, you know, even though Monsanto's deck list has like a ton of ways to go deep into the game with, like, you know, double Togwaggle scheme and other shenanigans like that, it does feel like sometimes it's stuck doing nothing on the board, and that's what Rogue does best as a class. If you want like a value engine that goes late into the game, there's plenty of other classes that do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, one part of what capitalizes on Rogue is, you know, tempo. And that's, I mean, StrifeCro even felt like when we call it like a Thief or a Burgle Rogue, he's like, you guys should really go back to calling it Tempo Rogue. And I'm like, well, we called the other version of Rogue Tempo Rogue too. We kind of wanted to differentiate it a little bit.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that I like about StrifeCro's list is that he still plays Preparation. I feel like this card is still really good, even though most people assume that it's not as powerful. Well, I mean, it is not as powerful. People assume that it's just not playable, and that's just not. I think that that's a fallacy. It's still a very good card.
Yeah, Sap and Eviscerate still exist in the deck, and as long as those exist in the deck, being able to prep Sap, prep Eviscerate, and then like Edwin or SI7 Agent, or even Evil Miscreant is still just an incredibly powerful play. And I think even just for Edwin alone, like, I know it's kind of weird to have that many cards in your deck to activate a single card, but the amount of times that like a 6/6 or an 8/8 Edwin that goes unchecked wins the games is one of the reasons why so many people have been calling for Edwin's head for years. And in fact, they've been calling for his head for more than a decade. Because he existed in the Deadbinds in World of Warcraft.
Also, Van Cleef, I heard, was insanely overpowered as a World of Warcraft TCG card.
I never played it, so I don't know what he did.
Nimish told me, well, first of all, I think you could put 4 copies of Edwin. And then...
Imagine the possibilities if that was Hearthstone.
I think. And then I also believe that he did something the equivalent of the Master Scheme in Dalaran Heist, which is kind of like everything. I think it like deals damage and draw a card.
When Edwin enters play, put 2 1/1 Defias Thug ally tokens into play with. This ally can protect allies with Van Cleef in their names. And then when Edwin is destroyed, you may put an ally named Vanessa Van Cleef from your hand into play.
Oh. Okay, then I totally misremembered what it's affected.
So the thugs protect him, and then even when he dies, he generates more value. I don't know. I don't even know what these mean.
Allies, I think, are friendly minions.
But Dan, it's $150, so it's got to be pretty good.
Oh my gosh! $150 for a copy of 1 Van Cleef?
Yeah, that's what it says.
That almost can buy me a warrior deck.
Don't get ahead of yourself there, Dan.
That being said, I gotta say that on a side note, some of the decks that we've seen today are fairly cheap because of the lack of legendaries, which is a nice sight for all the free-to-play players out there. StrifeCro going for maximum board tempo. This is just a lot of pressure early on. Just kind of focus back in on this game. PNC has cards that are better when they are able to react. Sea Giants can come down, but at full mana cost. That Vaporize ends up restricting more of PNC's plays, even though it gives them a little bit extra life here.
Yeah, now one of the things to note about PNC's primary deck, he has no Frost Novas. He does have them added in his tertiary deck alongside Doomsayers and a Rabble Bouncer. But
he has magic Dart Frogs instead, and he has his own big game hunter for the tempo swing.
But outside of Mirror Image and like Ray of Frost, he has no way to block damage. There's always Mana Cyclone.
Right, so this scenario, he can double Ray of Frost, and he can Mirror Image and then Mana Cyclone.
Or
that sets up 3 minions on the board.
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to calculate some Sea Giant swing opportunities, but it looks like he just goes for Sea Giant. StrifeCro does have clean removal with Prep, Vendetta into Eviscerate.
He's got Myra's to reload once that's complete, so I think he can feel free to kind of dump stuff here. He can also...
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting Prep into Myra's.
I mean, he had the Vendetta Eviscerate into just Hyper and Togwaggle with a Lackey almost certainly sticking on the board.
And a second Eviscerate.
I'm out of cards.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, that's a bold call.
That's a bold strategy, TJ. Let's see if it pays out for him.
He's got Sap, Edwin Van Cleef. He has Hyper and Togwaggle still.
Right. No Togwaggles. Back to, I mean, so now PNC, obviously PNC's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna die if I don't do anything. But if he can survive, you know, the 3 horde waves of zombies in this now PvE content type scenario, then he'll be good to go. And the game will reach its conclusion fairly soon.
Yeah. StrifeCro's like, sure, I could play Hyper and Togwaggle next turn, but I got somewhere to be, man.
PNC has the Mana Cyclone, Mirror Image, Sea Giant play again, but it's without the Source of Supremacy, it gets a lot worse. Because he only can get 1 spell in. Nice missiles. Now, PNC hesitating to see how he wants to weave in this Mana Cyclone. Can invest more into it, the Rays of Frost. Open for some nice pickups here.
Yeah, PNC suffered a little bit last week from not really deciding on what he wanted to do till too late. He roped out a few key turns. Does get into everything that he wants to this turn. Picks up some gas.
Yeah, I actually just realized that StrifeCro Myra's on 5. And, you know, he has, like, not a lot of mana to spend. Well, It's pretty much just discover 2 legendaries and hope that you overpower your opponent. The other option, of course, is to replace your hand with legendaries, but it seems like this is definitely the much better option.
Yeah, I think the sap is just too crucial. Out of all these cards, I think the sap is the one that is the highest value.
I mean, even Vendetta can be really powerful here if you Blink Fox and Vendetta for tempo.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like Leroy just plus straight up damage, Hero used both Eviscerates. I think this is a pretty good hand to get from the Myris. Maybe a couple deadly poisons, try and get him some damage, but other than that, decent stuff.
Ziliax is something that PNC immediately was hovering over, which kind of makes sense given that 5/5 is like the biggest minion. He has to be prepared for a powerful legendary swing on the board. So maybe he sets up like Kagdar with it?
Unity, precision, perfection.
No, because then the Kagdar just goes down for free. You might need that with Conjur's Calling. So now StrifeCro has the Blink Fox, Vendetta, Edwin play.
Or Blink Fox, Vendetta, Xerog's Crown.
That works too.
Probably
Actually, that's probably the most powerful play because you get 2 copies of the powerful legendary minion.
Yep. All right, maybe that changes things. Nah. I'd take 2 8/8s over 1 8/8. How about 2 7/7s?
Taz Nos Whiskerer. Interesting if he had this Togwaggle scheme, but he does not. 2 7/7s is a lot of power on the board. PNC does have Sea Giant, but it's actually still a little bit awkward.
He can try and Power of Creation and go for like Damage Stegatron or Sunwalker.
Yep.
To buy himself some time.
Or you could Sea Giant and then Conjur's Calling for the Mulch Munchers.
Oh yeah, Mulch Munchers as well.
Or you could try to go for the Giants plus the Conjur's Calling for the Graveheart. That's a much higher percentage chance. 1 Graveheart.
20 damage on board. With Sap. 14, 15, 16, 19, 20. So Evil Cable Rock can pick up Lackey, that's a 1 in 5.
Tome of Intellect.
Tome of Intellect can pick up damage, which I think is lower than a 1 in 5. Do 1 out of 5 mage spells deal 5 damage? Or deal 2 damage?
You can still get it through Cable Rat, though. Or even the Miscreant.
Yep, Miscreant.
Doubles his chances.
Yep, higher chance. Looking for damage.
Gets the
And
damage.
he found it.
Wow. StrifeCro is just going to pressure and punch his way and roll over this mage. With the turn 5 Myras with double prep. That's right. Preparation's still a great card.
And he made that play quite fast too, so.
Rank 1 legend StrifeCro takes game 1 victory. TJ's fantasy team is looking better by the minute.
Ooh, you love to see it, Dan. Fans of TJ love to see that.
Yes. There are dozens of us.
Dozens.
Nah, TJ has a lot of fans. I don't want to. I was like hesitating for that joke because it just felt like.
I'm proud that you said us, because that means you're a fan.
I'm a
Dan.
big TJ fan. I think you're one of the funniest guys I've ever met.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
you're hilarious, dude. It's been real fun. They're motioning for us. We're gonna take a break, like a couple minutes. They're like, all right, let's stop this bromance before it gets a little too deep. When we come back, game number 2 between StrifeCro and PNC. Don't go anywhere.
One night, I was called on to scry. But what is this symbol I spy? It's my own crystal ball. Yes, I'll answer the call. And the others will come by and by. That's right. We be calling a team in. The masters of plotting and scheming. By this candle a-glowing, I surely be knowing whose gold will be once more a-gleaming.
My name is Christos Sakopoulos. My PAL tag is Phenomeno 21327. My username comes from when I was a kid. I used to go to like an internet cafe with my friends to play like, I remember WoW and stuff like that. And I just had to make a character one day, and one of my friends said, your play's not phenomenal, so you can just put the name Phenomenal there. And I just did it, and then it just stuck. The thing that's unique about my playstyle, I feel, is that I sometimes think about stupid plays that other people would never even consider, and I try to get something out of it. I think people don't pay attention to details like trading or going face. I really pay attention to those things because I think it's super important. Like even one bad trade can cost you the game a lot of times. My favorite memory was definitely when I won my first Hearthstone tournament last year in HCT Orange County. And doing that just gave me so much more confidence and made me feel like I was free again. I'd say being in Grandmasters means that I've made it to the top players of Europe, which has always been my goal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to start competing again.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. As America's region is coming to a close for today, we are on time. Wow, miracles do come true, TJ. It turns out while we were at this time last week, we were in our second Warrior Mirror, our second match, rather, and it was going to be quite the long, brutal
It was
day.
brutal. It was brutal.
But it turns out that when people bring different decks and you get some kind of fast-paced action with some memorable highlights, you know, it's a good time. I'm having a lot of fun going to game number 2 here between StrifeCro and PNC. StrifeCro with the very fast Myra's call, just kind of like putting on full display why Rogue is still a relevant class. It still has good tempo plays. It still has good opportunities for swings with preparation. It still has Myra's and stable element. And these are like the cards that Monsanto cut, even to the point where StrifeCro on Twitter made commentary on Monsanto's deck. He's like, Monsanto's playing like the same kind of deck as me, but he's playing a lot of like nonsense cards.
Yeah, nonsense cards is what he said.
It's like, what is this nonsense in Monsanto's deck?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Hey, it worked out for him. What can we expect? But StrifeCro going with his tertiary deck. He removed a Deadly Poison, both of his Evil Cable Rats, a Sap, and Hearthstone Togwaggle to make room for double Cold Blood, double Walk the Plank, and Big Game Hunter.
Love it.
And PNC sticking with the primary deck.
Yeah, the double Cold Blood is really interesting to me. He just favors aggro that much, and he wants to go all out.
How much is this worth to you?
How's he gonna do High Spare and Togwaggle like that after just gave him double 7/7s?
He's gonna kill him with Cold Bloods instead.
Yeah.
Double Walk the Plank and a Big Game Hunter do kind of mean a lot because he doesn't have to use those Eviscerates to kill a Giant. He can just BGH and use the Eviscerates for face later on. The double Cold Blood also allows him to be aggressive. He can suit up a minion early, and PNC will struggle to deal with it because this deck just honestly doesn't have a lot of just hard removal.
Yeah, it's totally true. Wow, like PNC.
Coin AI.
It's been a while since I've seen that play from Mage.
Wow.
StrifeCro just follows the curve. This is one of the benefits of playing this version of Rogue that has the Vendetta Thief package, is that you can just follow along the curve a lot of times and not worry about comboing everything. Magic Dart Frog is a pretty good card for tempo development as StrifeCro continues to gather resources.
Shadow Flame is very interesting.
Yeah, it actually is very good against mage boards that develop into small, like 2 health minions. You have
Absolutely.
Khadgar, Sorcerer's Apprentice. You have the Mana Cyclone.
Also, combined with Cold Blood, it allows you to get through an entire board full of giants.
True.
Which is very interesting. Now you have to have a 4 attack minion plus a combo, but still, just having that ability is pretty big.
PNC not getting the Arcane Missile outcome he was looking for.
If that's not the Arcane Missile outcome he was looking for, I don't really know what is.
3 on the 4/3.
Sure, 3 on the 4/3, but that's a very, very low odds. And it's like he was, I'm so unlucky. I didn't kill the 4/3 in a
I think he just wanted
1% chance.
I think he just wanted all of them to hit minions instead of one of them going to face.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so he's going for a Mana Cyclone setup here. Pretty crafty use of the banana so he can pump up this Mana Cyclone just a little bit more. Freeing up his hand with the second elemental evocation. Seems like an opportunity for StrifeCro to set up the Evil Miscreant, which will also set up the Van Cleef for the following turn. Magic Dart Frog, Evil Miscreant. Seems to be the immediate play. Van Cleef, wow.
Okay.
So he wants
All right.
pressure now.
I mean, it makes sense. He's got Deadly Poison plus Eviscerate in hand, so 9 on board. If you count,
All right.
yeah. I mean, he's very close to lethal. Like one more round of attacking, and he's there.
It works on multiple levels. First, you're absolutely right. It helps him get the damage going. But the second part is that PNC actually did have answers to it. He could freeze like a big Van Cleef. And then he had even Polymorph as a pickup from one of the spells from Mana Cyclone.
Yeah. Also, he knows there's a big Game Hunter in the deck. Plus just Conjurer's Calling. So if you go 2 all in on an Edwin Van Cleef, there's a lot of punishes for it. So just playing it as a 4/4 for tempo, you know, kind of making your opponent second guess whether or not they want to react to it, makes a lot of sense. And also just if they don't react to it, you hit for 4, which deck outside of Zilliax doesn't have a way to heal up.
Yeah, no, it makes more sense than, when you think about it. I guess I'm so used to acquiring more value off of things like Miscreant and having Van Cleef with combos on the lackeys that, you know, I was blinded by it. Magic Dart Frog here, by the way. Ends up working out very nicely against Zilliax. However, the 2 spells are Deadly Poison and Eviscerate. He could Eviscerate as a base to get past if he wants to combo with another card. It doesn't feel that great, though.
Yeah, but if you think about it, if you're negating the 3 healing, plus unlocking additional damage for you to push, it makes up itself with 4 damage.
The Venging Wrath?
Oh, man. Even Shrink Ray.
Shrink Ray against the Giants is pretty interesting, but I think I like the Eviscerate, or sorry, the Venging Wrath better.
Yeah.
8 damage is 8 damage. Apprentice, what kind of big plays can PNC pull off here?
The card's hidden in the far left, I believe is a Conjurer's Calling.
So he can Conjurer's Calling his Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Cool. Sorcerer's Apprentice, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling.
Instead, I guess he could go for more board control objectives. So he could Sorcerer's Apprentice, Frostbolt, Ray of Frost.
Well, he could go Sorcerer's Apprentice, Double Ray of Frost, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling. So you freeze the 2 4 attack minions, you play a Khadgar plus 4 2-drops.
Okay. I like it. The alternative is to just go on the removal plan, like polymorph. You go Sorcerer's Apprentice, polymorph, double Ray of Frost.
Yeah, I don't know. 4/2 drop seems really good. He does have 2 randomly generated spells, but how often does he choose AoE? Usually he's looking for just damage.
Might be worried about dying.
He could be worried about dying.
There's 9 damage on board. He's at 19.
But
he knows Leroy and the possibility of the Cold Bloods coming out.
But in that scenario, he would double Ray of Frost. And so it would only be 1 damage on board. I don't know. I kind of liked it. All right, let's get those lackeys. Will we see an Ethereal lackey for the first time today, Dan?
Nope.
Oh, there it is. It exists.
I gotta use my powers for good.
We saw like 14 lackeys in the series with Monsanto, and none of them were Ethereal.
Deadringer pulls out a Death Rattle card?
Are there any?
I don't think so.
No, there's not. No Death Rattle cards. Oh well.
Sorcerer's Apprentice still waiting. But there's not much that PNC has as like real substantial plays here.
Yeah, I honestly think he's been holding on to a high hand size and just doing the bare minimum to try and like unlock Sea Giant if he drew it.
Yeah, or Mountain Giant.
Oh, sorry, I meant Mountain Giant.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sea Giant doesn't matter if you have a full hand size. If he was playing into Sea Giant, he would have just gone off last turn. Yeah, playing into Mountain Giant. Because if he'd gone with the play I suggested last turn, he would have used 4 cards.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Mountain Giant hold.
Yeah, and then if StrifeCro dealt with it some way, and then he drew Mountain Giant, it was like 6 mana. Then what does he do? So trying to play with the cards in his deck, Dan, not with just with the cards in his hand.
So then what can he do now? Can he still just re-stuff with the Ray of Frost copies?
Honestly, it looks like he just has to go for it. Try and fill up. Oh, okay.
I'm just calling the 2/2 instead, and then raise to freeze. You get a ray, and you get a ray, and you get a banana. And PNC is out.
He broke!
He drops the peel. Which is not quite the same as dropping the mic. But he said, I'm out.
Low attack minions, so no great Shadow Flame here. Ugh.
Wow, this is just
I think you take Pickpocket just to take Pickpocket.
have value.
Yeah. And then
I think you want to deal with the lifesteal and you want to kill the Sorcerer's Apprentice so you can backstab and walk the plank.
he could backstab Avenging Wrath.
Okay. Shadow Flame. Oh, because the Magic Dart Frog
The Magic Dart Frog, and then he'll be able to
guarantee a clear.
Yeah. All right, that's smart. Avenging Wrath might be better though. Because Avenging Wrath will get some damage to face as well.
But he wants Avenging Wrath to go damage all things.
Yeah, that's very good point. Very good point.
Okay, so trade, swing to the face. Pickpocket for 1. Power of Creation.
What?
That's a good one. Oh, the pickpocket to deal the damage.
Yeah, Pickpocket to push the additional 1 damage.
Ah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's just he's spotting these small interactions very nicely. Just shows his experience and also like understanding like all these corner case interactions.
Yeah, I mean, Magic Dart Frog, not a card that he's probably
Yeah,
used to playing
I'm
with
not-
in Rogue.
I just wasn't really accounting for it all the time.
I mean, it's kind of a weird situation. And Power of Creation, honestly, is great because, 1, it gives him a chance to just lethal damage with Reckless Rocketeer or Argent Commander. 2, it's just instant board presence from nothing. So, and now PNC really doesn't have a way to defend against this. He's got Khadgar plus the Mirror Image, but that honestly just buys him time, and then he doesn't have anything to capitalize on the time. Like, if he draws Mountain Giant after that, it's really expensive. He can't combo it with Conjurer's Calling. Or at least not in the way that he'd want to. So he's got to go for it. We'll see if this can buy him enough time.
Yeah, Shadow Flame being gone now. Probably a big relief. PNC is all in. And this is not really an effective all in. PNC seems to have disconnected, and StrifeCro, of course, will wait for that reconnection.
We have the technology, Dan.
Yes, we will wait.
As long as it takes.
We will wait. But, you know, StrifeCro's in a pretty dominant spot from that.
Yeah, PNC pretty much just went all in.
Right.
With no cards in hand, no Conjurer's Calling to activate Giants that he would draw. 3-2 on the board. It's
almost
looking rough.
No play even then following turn. I think he had a Pyroblast. He's on 8 mana.
Yeah,
so it's like you can't even do
and
anything.
a Spellbender.
And a Spellbender.
Yeah, so not much going on.
Yeah, this rogue is sick. And looks like we are going to jump right back into the game. We have reconnected, and Leroy Jenkins is drawn. I don't know if that's enough to kill him because of the taunts, but this Power Creation would be nice.
Damage Stigatron, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Mage is getting wrecked.
By Mage cards. And that is
That's just death on board. PNC concedes. StrifeCro, easy 2-0. As not the full prophecy, but half the prophecy was true, TJ. Mage took quite a beating in the series it lost, and had to get pretty lucky to win another series that it was unfavored against. So not as infallible as many people would consider. People are saying it's going to be a Mage fest, but Mage clearly has weaknesses.
We've seen kind of every extreme of Mage just today in today's America's broadcast. We saw what it can do when it gets the Mountain Giant, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling hands. We've seen what it can do in situations where it kind of has to make something out of nothing. And then we've seen situations where it makes nothing out of nothing. So
yeah, 0 times infinity is still 0.
Yeah, so we've seen like every extreme of the deck in wins and losses. So it was a true Mage fest here at America's Grandmasters.
You live and die by the illusions of the magic trick. But after it's all been said and done, we have StrifeCro, who is victorious in game number 5. StrifeCro, can you hear us?
What's up? I can hear you.
Nice. So 2-0, very fast and easy. I mean, Rogue is still a pretty good class, right?
Oh yeah, actually, I love the Rogue nurse because it gives me a chance to play Rogue, which I would have never played before the nurse. You know.
wait.
A Rogue hipster.
Yeah, is that what's going on? You have to be different from everyone else, Strife?
Yeah, I had to be hipster. Actually, in all seriousness, when Rogue was like super OP, everyone was bringing Warrior, right? So it's more of like a function of the metagame. I knew everyone was going to bring Mage this week. Like I called the moment that last week finished, you know, and I think it was obvious to not just me but everyone. I also have noticed like it seems like everyone's always on the same level. It's like you have every week people bringing like more than 50% of the people bring the same deck. I just figure that's very easily explainable. I didn't want to really do that again, so Theory crafted a Rogue list after a nerf that still destroys Mage and Hunter.
Is it all your own theory crafting? Because I know you tend to be on your own independent train as opposed to like having a practice group of 15, 20 people like some other players do.
Impact from my team helped me a lot with the deck. I actually knew all 30 cards in the deck before the patch even hit. As soon as the patch hit, like I was like rank 9 on ladder. I laddered and hit rank 1 with this rogue. I went like 15-0 like the moment that the patch hit, you know. Yeah, it's really sick. It's really good.
Gotcha. So you're kind of talking about exploiting people's patterns of behaviors. Monsanto was saying the same exact thing, that he feels like some players are giving in too easily to the bandwagon that Specialist is just, you know, this format that ends up being pretty similar. Do you feel that same sentiment as well?
Yeah, I mean, it should never be everyone bring the same deck, because if that's happening, some people are doing it wrong, you know? Like every deck has a counter in Hearthstone. And you know, when 80% people bring the same deck, it's obvious that you should just bring something else, even if that deck you're bringing has weaknesses outside of what you're playing. You know, it doesn't, you won't really run into it if everyone's, you know, going to be mage or warrior.
All right, so StrifeCro definitely agreeing with Monsanto there. TJ, any last questions here for StrifeCro?
All right, StrifeCro, look into your magic ball and tell me what all the other chuckleheads are bringing next week.
Hunter.
Okay.
I don't know, man. All the buffs next week makes it a little bit difficult to predict.
It's the week after, I think.
Oh, is it the week after?
Yeah, it's June 3rd, I believe, is what they said. So next week we're still operating on the same one. But StrifeCro has spoken. Hunter's next week.
That's right. So there you go. 55, 60% of the field bringing Hunter. Congratulations, StrifeCro, on your victory. We'll see you later this weekend.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right, so that's it. America's is done. Grandmasters ends for the first day of competition here in week number 2. Taking a look at how everything has panned out. We started off with just Saiyan versus Purple. Saiyan took that 2-0. Then Monsanto with a 2-0. The featured match of the day with the featured highlight of the day, with Monsanto having to take a very, very risky scenario. Not risky, but like a low chance of success scenario of sapping Race's win condition out of the game, and he did successfully get that.
Yeah, Race tweeted out even. He was like, I was playing around sap the whole game. And the one turn that he does it, I burn Shirvala. But Monsanto was still confident other than that. But then throughout the second half of the day, ETC took a victory over Nalgidon in a very unfavored matchup against Murloc Shaman. Zalay had a dominating victory over Dog, and of course StrifeCro with that rank 1 legend rogue deck. Going against the grain, predicting those mages, took a 2-0 victory over PNC.
Yeah, and you know, as much as you know, these mages definitely got a couple wins today, it showed a lot of cracks in the armor. I anticipate that the mages will continue to take beatings for some of the people that are prepared for it. So you know, even though Nalgidon and you know, we did see Dog take the hit, both those players I anticipate to come back. Even Dog was tweeting, he's like, I think I played. Or at least I wasn't really on point today.
Yeah.
So we'll find out tomorrow if that ends up becoming the case as well. Let's take a look at what the matches are yet to come. We're going to start things off with ETC up against Monsanto. And then we have Dog versus Purple. So some rematches in terms of the Thief Rogue versus the Mage, and then the Warrior versus the Mage. Both Dog, Purple, and Eddie and Muzzy.
Yeah, and then another, well, as you just mentioned, sorry, Dan, stealing your thunder once again, Eddie versus Muzzy. But I think the big thing about tomorrow is no mirror matchups again, which means that we get to see a lot of cool, unique matches. Amnesiac bringing the Hunter. We didn't get to see Hunter today, so I'm excited for that. Going up against Frozen's Holy Wrath Paladin.
Right.
And then Firebat versus Bloody Face, and another Mage versus Warrior. So that's kind of going to be the story of tomorrow is, can Warrior overcome the Mage? Because it seems even Dog's deck, tech to the teeth for Mage, couldn't overcome, and he got swept. So I'm curious to see if any other players will have some success.
All right, well, it's been a blast. Week number 2 off to a great start here for the Hearthstone Grandmasters. We'll be back later today at 2 a.m. Pacific for Asia Pacific's day number 2. That's it for Frody and TJ and the rest of the casters here in Studio 5 in Burbank, California. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.